Hi. Today I want to talk about the last obstacle to joy. Promise now we're going to get a little bit happier after this one. Again, the Book of Joy. And this last one it sounds a bit morbid, but there are some good things to think about in it too. So it's about being afraid of dying. And again, spiritual leaders always have a much better perspective about dying than we all do, because we're all afraid of it, and we've lost some loved ones through this pandemic and through other things. It's the time of year that we lost our son, and it always is kind of a sad time for me. But we also know that we keep going on, and that's what our loved ones would want us to do. But the Dalai Lama says, death is a fact of life. We are going to die. And it's actually a wonderful thing to do, what we call a living will, where you give your loved ones all the information about what you would like to do, where all your finances are, where everything's in order, and designate people to be your medical power of attorney and your durable power of attorney, and get all of that done, because it does make it much easier for your children or whoever is left to know what to do, and even to maybe write it down. If it's too hard to talk about, maybe write it down what you'd like at a funeral, or if you don't want a funeral, and then at least they know a little bit. Although, as my husband always says, after we're gone, it really doesn't matter, because it's up to the rest of the family to do what helps them and bring them some peace, and help resolve whatever is there, and also to bring some closure to it. But it's not being morbid to do a living will and to get all of our house in order. But we're just saying that it's a fact. And what the Dalai Lama says is, perhaps death and the fear of death is truly the greatest challenge to joy. And when we're dead, it really doesn't matter, but it's the fear. It's the fear of suffering. It's the fear of leaving loved ones behind, and what will they do, and how will they, keep going. And so many psychologists say that the fear of death lies behind all of other fears, and that many historians of religion argue that religion started or arose to try and solve the mystery of death. And modern life keeps that fear at bay. And we don't interact very well with the elderly. We tend to avoid, because we're afraid that we're going to end up like that. And a lot of people feel they're going to catch it if they spend too much time with the dying. But it is a gift if we can give back to helping someone be comfortable. And it's why hospice and some of those organizations are just marvelous. But again, as we say, many people are afraid of dying. We're afraid of suffering. And but everyone knows there's a beginning and an end. And once we can accept that it is the normal process, and that sooner or later it will come, our attitude can change. It's kind of like, accept the things you cannot change. Now, in the meantime, we want to stay as healthy as we can and do whatever we can to stay healthy. But once we've accepted, at least, that everyone's going to die, and eventually we're going to die, that can help us a little bit too. So there's really, again, I wanted to just touch a little bit on something that can kind of help us get through this. If I can find it, I had it marked here now. Here we go. Okay. So it's called a death meditation. Again, it sounds morbid, but it does help us put things in perspective. And so what I'd like you to do just for a minute is reflect on these words. Anything that has a birth has a death, and I'm no exception. And there are many conditions that can lead to death, but death can never be stopped. Nothing can prevent this inevitable. And so just imagine that you're at your funeral. I know you've probably heard this before, but imagine that your loved ones are around, and what are they saying about you? What are they thinking about you? Are you happy with what they're saying? What might you need to change now to challenge what they're saying? Are they saying that you were a good person, that you were kind, that you were there for them, that you were a good neighbor? Or will they say, you know, they were really hard to live with. They were always crabby. They were always angry. They were always sad. So the thing is, kind of think about, I shall always live my life with purpose. Time never remains still, and it's up to me to use my time in the most meaningful way. I shall live in harmony with my deeper aspirations so that when my final day does arrive, I will be able to leave with ease and not and without remorse. And hopefully people will remember me and remember all of us with a happy note, and that we've made a difference, that we've left a legacy. I always ask why I do things, and yeah, a lot of it is so that I can leave a legacy, that I can be a role model to my grandchildren, and that I've made a difference, even if it's just a very small one.